Welcome back to the Exhaust Note Podcast. This is part 2 to an episode that released a few weeks ago where I talked to Graham Smith, the manager of 10 Tenths Motor Club. If you haven't seen that episode, I recommend watching that before this one. Okay, you said that you have a 997 GT3.
I do.
What are the cars you own?
Just that. I own that car and the Corolla and that's it. Those are the ones that I drive. My dad has some really fun cars that I've gotten to play with over the years, and I kind of help manage his collection of vehicles that they're all drivers. None of them sit still. So, but I've traded like 20 something cars in my life. Just only one at a time. I owned 2 cars at a time once. I couldn't make sense of it. The Corolla doesn't count because frankly it's bone stock. It doesn't get modified. There's no work that has to happen with that car. It's more of a company vehicle in that regard. But I owned at one point an E30 M3 and a G87 M2 at the same time, modifying both at the same time. When your garage has 2 cars that are both need to be in the shop at the same time and you can't go anywhere, I learned that it's probably better to have a reliable daily driver and then a fun car.
What's the coolest car you've ever owned?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say the one I have now. I do love it. I've wanted a 997 GT3 since I ever saw one exist in the first place. But I've had some interesting cars for sure. I had an R35 GTR that was midnight purple. It was, I guess, the newer version of it, midnight opal. I loved that car. It got a lot of looks. I think just the aura that car has in a car meet for being what it is was really neat. I drove a 2017 Acura NSX for a while. Such an incredible engineering piece. Like, I just thought it was amazing the way that car could be so comfortable and quiet and at the same time just crush like a mountain road. There's been a few, man. My first car was a 2014 FJ Cruiser. So I was used to being an off-road guy. I loved the trucks and that kind of thing, but it all went downhill after that. I sold that car and bought a Focus RS, and that was the first time that I really felt like I need to have a fast car at all times. There's no substitute for speed. So yeah, there's been a lot. There's been some interesting ones, some less interesting than others, but lots of them have stories. But I'd say right now I'm really content with this car.
What first got you into cars?
So this is a fun one. You'd think, like, growing up in the family that I grew up in, that it would have just been automatic, like off camera. Like, I know we talked with your dad and he talked about the story with you and the Countach. Like, I didn't have that moment really young. I loved race cars. I loved like going to NASCAR races. I knew the drivers. So it was like being at a family reunion every weekend. But I would say that when I really started loving cars and loving speed myself, I raced when I was younger, but still it was there, but it didn't quite click until at far too young of an age. I did have a license, but only barely. I somehow convinced my father at the time that it would be a good idea for him to let me drive a 2015 Jaguar F-Type R that he had been driving to go to hang out with a friend. And that friend lived out in the countryside, so I went out there and I took this car, and it's got all this power and this, like, when they first came out in 2015, that crazy exhaust that was from the factory. It would crackle like it was tuned, but it was totally stock. And I was flying down the road in this car, banging through gears, having the time of my life, and I got pulled over. I remember getting pulled over, and the guy told me how fast he caught me going. And I remember thinking, there's no way, because I was going so much faster than that. And I actually ended up being okay. And the ticket wasn't that bad because I don't think he actually physically caught me. He just wrote down a number. But I lived through that. Of course, I got punished like crazy. Like, I remember it was like this, like, my mom was losing her mind that my dad would even let me drive the car in the first place. And, we both lived through it. Everybody, eventually ended up okay. And I think I had this moment like, I survived that. And that was so much fun. Like, I definitely don't want to get pulled over again, but I'm really into speed. And then I think it really caused this switch to flip in my head where cars became so much more than just like, that's really cool. And it was, I want to know, why is this so cool? Like, what is it about this car? And then, like a lot of people my age and actually, crazy enough, thanks to streaming your age as well, like, I've watched through every single episode of Top Gear ever made and just went through the whole thesaurus, like, or encyclopedia of car knowledge as presented by the original three. And I had a ton of fun with it, and then got into YouTube and everything else, just like everybody else. I find that cars are such a fun thing to learn about, but then like getting to drive them, seeing like how that engineering and design has gotten to play out in real life is really neat. And this is where that kind of like nerd thing comes in that I was talking about. Like just the intricacies of every vehicle.
You mentioned your dad letting you drive some of his cars. What does he have?
He's got some fun stuff. So currently he's got he's on a Porsche thing. He's also been a big Porsche guy, but he loves resto mods. He thinks resto mods are the coolest thing ever, and I'm with him. I think they're really neat. We developed a relationship with the guys at Gunther Works a while ago, and it may not be visible on camera. And I know you're not supposed to talk about things that aren't visible on camera, but behind you there's a photo of the car. We have a Gunther Works Speedster that he has it's excellent. It's Gulf blue with orange accents all over the car, and that car is absolutely incredible to drive. It's based on a 993 C4S. And they use the 4 because it's got a beefier transmission that they can reuse. They rebuild it, but it's the same box. Like it's the same, like you're shifting a 993. You feel that when you're driving the car, but it's a Roth Sport built 450-ish horsepower air-cooled 4-liter in the back. Not many companies are out there making a modern air-cooled engine. Actually, you can count them on one hand, and for them to be able to offer that car now, it's pretty incredible. There's the Gunther Works Speedster. He has the Roof SCR, which is might be the best car I've ever driven, honestly. Like it really is. It's so good in every single way. He has an ST that I love driving. That is a great car. But then there's also, outside of the Porsche world, he has one more cool Porsche. He has a 98 turbo. So it's a 993. It's not a Turbo S. It has this package, the WLS2 package, which he educated me on a little bit, but it gets a very important piece from the Turbo S. And it's those big side intakes that sit right in front of the rear tires. It's the coolest thing ever. But that car is bone stock, and it's 80,000 kilometer car. He imported it from Germany, and that's another one that's great. But we have an 06 Ford GT that my grandfather got directly from Ford. Love driving that. Never have any intention of selling that car, and we'll keep putting miles on it and keep driving it. 2020 Ford GT, that's my dad's. That was the one that he actually got from Ford himself, and that was such a huge deal because you had to go through all of this process to get one of those cars. And so we drive that one out here. That's like our favorite track mule. Like it sounds crazy to call it that, but that car is very happy at high RPM, and it likes to be on the track a lot. So that one, but and he loves his Bronco. He has an Icon Bronco built by Jonathan Ward out in California. It's an excellent, just the weather we have right now. It's perfect for this. Just sunshine, and you can roll the windows down, and it's a great like cruising around Charlotte car. But he's had some fun stuff. He's traded them in and out, but really everything he has is a driver's car. He has no interest in buying a car just to look at it. It's always been about driving.
What kind of cars have other people let you drive?
Oh my goodness, that might be the most exciting list of all of them, to be honest. I have been blessed to drive some really cool stuff. We have a friend out in California, Philip Seraphim, and he's a eclectic collector. That's the way I like to put it. He has the coolest stuff that you never thought you would see in person. He's let me drive a few of his cars, and actually they're all pretty high up on the list of things I've driven. The first of which I'll tell you was you're aware of the Lancia Delta Integrale. So you know about the Amos Automobili resto mod. So he had one. There's like 20 in the whole world. And one day we were at his house. This was during Car Week. It was a house that they were renting for the purpose of Pebble Beach and the whole thing. And that car was there. And a friend of his wanted to go to Laguna for the Rolex reunion. And then another friend of his wanted to be joining along. So we were looking, he said, would you mind driving them to the track? I said, no problem. He said, okay, so we need something that has 4 seats. Okay, so we start going through all these cars that he's got in the parking lot. And he goes and reaches for these Porsche keys, and it's for a Taycan. And like, look, I have nothing against the Taycan. It's a beautiful car. But like out of everything sitting in the lawn, I was like, okay, like that's cool. Like I really appreciate let me drive it, but like, okay, like it's a Taycan. And the battery's dead. So he goes, well, I don't have a lot else with 4 seats, but the Delta. and my heart's going nuts. Like I'm like, man, am I really about to drive this car? And he threw me the keys and got me situated in the car. And with, you know, two passengers in the vehicle, I drove this car to Rolex reunion, and I had people in F40s like reaching out their hands out the window and throwing thumbs up like this. That's how you know, like when the guy in the F40 is excited about your car, that's a pretty big deal. So there was that. And then in the same chapter of cars that Philip has let me drive, I drove an Escort Cosworth rally car at the first fat ice race in the U.S., the Aspen one. So I went out to this race with some friends of mine, the Hennessy's, Hennessy Motorsports, Hennessy Performance. Those guys. We went out and I was there to go witness their car, the F5, go around the track. I grew up with John's sons, Cole, Rylan, JP, and all those guys, and so I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm going out there. We're gonna go skiing. We're gonna go see this incredible thing. I can't wait to watch. Yeah, keyword, watch. And I texted Philip because I knew like there's no way this event is going on and Philip's not there. He's always involved. He's friends with Ferdy Porsche and knew about the event. And so I just said, hey, I'm coming. Like I'd love to say hey. And he goes, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Like I brought 5 cars. I'm looking for people to drive them. And I was like, great. Like I'm assuming he means like take it out for a spin. That sounds great. He goes, no, can you race this Escort? And well, they actually gave me a choice. He said, do you want to race either this Escort, it's a Marlboro car too, like the perfect livery, or do you want to take Ken Block's RS200? So naturally, I picked the Escort because if anyone's going to wreck Ken's car, I would prefer it not be me. So as much as I would have loved to have driven that, I think it's like 800 horsepower build. It's crazy. I picked the Escort, drove it at the ice race, got to share the track with guys like, you know, Patrick Long, Jeff Swart, and I'm out there in this car that's probably the best built car for the event. I should have been way quicker in it. Tanner Faust actually was there in a stock Golf R and beat me handedly. But my goodness, like so much fun to drive, just throwing it around. After I'd been eliminated from competition, I got a chance to take some of the Hennessy guys in the passenger seat and like rip them around the track. So it was a good time. The only other one I would say that like really puts it's like an anchor moment for me was, have you ever heard of Velocity Invitational?
No.
So Velocity Invitational is an event that we do out at Sonoma. That's which is a sister. It's part of our parent company, Speedway Motorsports, and it's run by a guy named Jeff O'Neill. Jeff O'Neill owns the winery that is right across the street from Sonoma Raceway. He's a huge vintage car enthusiast, but specifically vintage racing. He likes to see them on the track, likes to see them moving. He drives very, very well. He's got excellent taste in like Ferraris. He's got all these amazing cars, and one of them is this little Alpha. And there's people that are going to be screaming at me for naming it wrong, but I know it's a 70s car. I know it was a Giulia. I know it was a 2-door. I believe it was a Giulia GTA, if I remember correctly. Someone out there will prove me wrong because that's one world I haven't really conquered yet is Alpha. But it was offered up to me to drive at Velocity Invitational. I have never felt more connected to a car, I think still to this day. So light. I mean, like the lightest thing I've ever driven by far, with this 4-cylinder, just inline engine. It's around 170 horsepower. So you're just on it the whole time. And the class that I was in was a mixture of these lightweight Alpha type cars, 2002s, things of that nature, and these V8 like powerhouses with no handling or no grip, but tons of handling. So you had like Cobras and like these older Ferrari V8 mid-engine cars that were just dominating on speed. But then I watched these guys drive the same Alpha I was driving, and they were sailing it into corners so much faster and be able to go wheel to wheel with these guys. So it took the whole weekend for me to respect what that car could do in a corner. But when it clicked, it really wasn't until like 2 laps until the end of my entire race weekend. I mean, I was the final 2 laps of the whole thing, and I got to chase down this older 911 and pass him through the carousel at Sonoma. And the pass was so clean and executed. I mean, I'm not trying to make myself sound like an excellent driver. It was such a big deal because I don't normally do this. But it was so well executed that the guy that drove the 911 found me after the race and hugged me. It was like, I was waiting for you to figure it out the whole time because I knew that you could catch me in that corner specifically. And there at the very end, you did it. And I still run into that guy at car shows every once in a while when I'm out west, and we tell the same story over and over again. But that little Alpha really got me back into racing, got me back into like wanting to go faster on a track, or at least wanting to feel the sensation of a car at its limit. I was a very careful driver, I would say, before that. And it was really Jeff. He came out to me and said, I set this car up tight, so if you don't drive it into the corner, it's not going to turn. He's like, you're going to turn. There's not going to be any turn. But if you drive it in at the right speed and tap the brake pedal and shift the weight forward, you're gonna be able to get it through the corner, and you're gonna like what you do. And sure enough, he was right. As soon as I started driving it in deeper, I had a lot more fun. But yeah, those are probably the top 3 driving experiences I've had.
What is I don't want to say strange story that you have, because you've been everywhere and done everything. So I don't know. What's a memory that stands out to you?
In the automotive world, there's so many. I think actually it's crazy that like most of the crazy things that have happened in my life have been around cars. It's always been a story piece. It's probably why I tie myself to it so religiously. Like there's always some sort of cool memory that happens. I would say, well, recently, and this is just low-hanging fruit because it just happened, but our company operates as well US Legend cars. The Legend cars are these spec racers. They're designed to be really affordable. And look, I'd never use the word cheap because racing is not cheap. There's not one bit of racing that is cheap. And our Legend car drivers, they would line up out the door to tell you that it's not cheap. But it is affordable in comparison. And these lightweight, 1,100 pound, 140 horsepower, not unlike this little Alpha, except instead of an old Italian straight 4, it's a modern Yamaha bike engine out of an MT-09. These cars are designed to teach you how to drive and teach you how to like really drive what a car feels like that doesn't have a lot of grip but does have the ability to handle, and has more power than it necessarily needs at that weight. We decided to take 2 of them to this year's Fat Ice Race at Montana, and to go out there and you have a roughly $23,000 car pitted next to Rexy from AO Racing. And like, we're going to go out there and we're in the same class. And like, I think that was so insane. And then on top of that, when the track was frozen, which they did have some weather issues, they had more heat than they needed that day. So the track got a little slushy. When it was frozen over solid, I'm no one's Michael Schumacher, but I ran top 3 speeds all day long. And then the guy I brought out with me, who actually manages track services operations here, JC Fickinger, ran 3rd fastest overall for the whole event in that class, but put the fastest lap time down. Got penalized 5 seconds for doing a victory lap without realizing it. So would have been the fastest car out there, and in a class where we were competing against Jeff Swart in his 997 Cup car that he's driven Pikes Peak with 1,000 times, with Rexy, with Batim from BBI, and these cars that are purpose-built race cars that can't really put their power down on the ice. And here we are in these little hand-built cars that came out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, and we showed up and took names. And we had people like lining up out the door saying, like, how do I get one of these? Like, I want to drive one so bad. It's a really cool story. Like, there's roughly 30 people in Harrisburg that hand build these things. And I think that was probably one of the coolest moments, was to realize that we were literally like David and Goliath. You had, and the photos of that car next to the cars in its class, you're just blown away. But yeah, that was probably one of the coolest ones for me.
Me and Graham had a great time talking, so there'll be a part 3 to this conversation coming out in the following weeks. Stay tuned.